So in a brand new update from WB Discovery CEO David Zaslav, it's now been confirmed that WB Discovery, whatever you want to call them, is setting themselves up for a sale and a split, which would take all of their assets and, well, split them. So yeah, let's talk about why this is happening and why it's been something that was always going to happen, as I talked about it the last 2 years. So the latest earning call for WB Discovery went down as good as you would expect, aka it's a disaster. Now, while yes, there was profit made in specific margins, like Max, for example, and this is attributed to The Last of Us and some of the other products that are on there, other divisions have seen a pretty disastrous result. This is where the brand new talks come into play. So it's been reported by CNBC, by pretty much every legitimate trade and finance that you can find out there, that WB Discovery is looking like it's internally setting up towards a potential breakup, split, or sale of assets. And essentially what's happened is that ahead of the investors' call and revealing their numbers, David Zaslav took to talk about how it hasn't worked out and how there's still a lot of room for growth, but also downsizing being the key to this entire thing. Now, here's what's interesting. A lot of people are attributing shares jumping up to their, HBO and rises in subscriptions, but this came before that, and shares jumping happened before these numbers were revealed. So what's happening is the same thing that happened last time when WB was on the verge of a sale. Shares rise as people are buying in with a hopeful acquisition of a company that's going to make their portfolio, and the shares, rise when they're acquired by whoever or sold off to whoever. Now, what's important in here is that we got a couple of things we really got to look at. So when it comes to shares revenue, it raised near 4%. The company missed its quarter one revenue expectations, and it's seen a revenue decline by 18%. So again, they are substantially down. And their fall in cable TV fell another 7% quarter over quarter. So again, everything is on a downward trajectory. Now, of course, WB is still in the business of building out their own IPs, but also renting out IPs and making partnerships which they don't own. So, for example, Godzilla. They're spending money, but they don't own Godzilla. So what we're looking at is the potential of WB trying to cut costs further by no more licenses and or a full sale. So right now, what's being discussed is a potential spin-off / merger and or wholesale. So to break it down simply, if they split up, they're splitting the company into two different divisions, one which would focus on films, the other one on TV, and they would act as separate entities no longer connected. Think of the old Marvel Studios and Marvel Entertainment, just more of a split than that. So if a split off was to happen 50-50, it would be what Universal is doing, where they're taking CNBC, MSNBC, and starting a new company that's no longer connected to the other one, aka Universal Comcast. Now, it's important to note that WB already announced in December a separation of streaming from the media giant. They already separated WB's HBO and all that into its own. They started that process. So this would effectively keep one company as one, the other as the other, and reportedly films and TV would be completely separate ownership, no longer connected at all. Okay, so this is where we get into the more interesting factors of this. So reports are coming in from Reuters, for example, that there is high interest of Comcast acquiring different divisions. So Universal getting in on buying IPs and or rights. Now, what does this do to the bigger picture? What happens with everything that's currently in development? Unfortunately, we don't know. like Fox, when they entered agreements and when the rumbling started that Disney was going to buy them, they got to operate business as usual because it might not go through. Although in this case, it's going to go through. Make no mistake about it, because WB will argue, then we're just going to be dead in 3 years, which they will if they don't do anything. So what we're looking at right now is a complete reassessment and change of the industry again. And how this affects DC and everything is going to be a really, really interesting topic going forward, because we just don't know. And I'm willing to bet, and I'm going to talk about this in just a little bit, but that a lot of stuff is going to hinge on DC going forward. And I think a lot of stuff, when you look at the bigger picture, also hinges on how WB has mismanaged video game assets, how they've mismanaged other divisions and other properties like Mortal Kombat. I mean, it's a complete disaster over there. So let's get into the Superman factor and why I think everything hinges on Superman. So here's why I think Superman is the important piece of the puzzle. It's the one IP that WB wholesale owns, and they don't need outside factors. You know, they don't have a J.K. Rowling when it comes to everything being overseen for Harry Potter and needing her stamp and approval and everything, right? They don't have that with DC. And Superman is positioned as their big summer blockbuster. Many analysts have said this is a $1 billion film. WB is seeing that. They're probably betting on a $1 billion film. Merchandise, more than likely $2.5 billion. So it's got to deliver. And I think that the crowning jewel is going to be everything DC. Hence why you're looking at Comcast and others wanting to jump in on this. Hence why you then look at how important Superman is, and the fact that they're moving on other films, but again, with an unknown, uncertain future. And make no mistake about it, when it's all said and done this summer, Superman could be the tipping point in regards to what does WB do. If Superman underdelivers, if it does $600 million, that's not $1 billion that everybody thinks it's going to make. WB might just see it as a loose end then, and then we get into Marvel 90s territory. Auction off, split up, make a profit wherever you can. What are our options? And therefore, WB and DC, the way you knew them, are no longer the same companies. Thank you for checking out that video, and thank you for your continued support. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, do whatever you will, and if you're so inclined and would like some additional content from us, which includes unfiltered content and bonus discussions, we do offer exclusively in our member section. We hope to see you there. So thank you for watching, and have a good one.